System riding to the core. Yeah. Reppin' inner city left. This is the Inner City Left broadcast. Today is Monday, May 5th. I am Amin TMK alongside Emoja, Lil Tanky Sumler. Hello, my friend. Happy Monday. How are you doing?
Man, whew, it is Monday. Monday it is.
You always hit us with some really good words of wisdom.
I didn't know if you knew that.
Yeah, today being Monday is one of the most, I think, most important. That's why the people show up to hear that type of analysis.
You can believe that.
Yeah, we only speak the truth. Let's dive into some news, if we shall. As you know, Nasrallah, also known as the Houthis, have taken credit for this missile strike that hit the airport in Israel. The name of the airport, which you probably already know, but let me say it here for...
Ben Gurion.
I was going to say it, but you took it from me, so I'll just let you have it there.
Let the resident Jew make the answer.
Yes, exactly. It struck an access road on the grounds of this airport, and this happened yesterday. Like I said, this was being reported from the Times of Israel, and yeah, I mean, can you give us more information on the strike? And number two, sort of, what does this mean? I think, is this an escalation of any kind? Do you think this is a successful strike? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, look, success depends on what their goals were, right? If their goal was to hit Israel, success. If their goal was to delay Israeli inbound and outbound aircraft, success. If your goal was to make the people of Israel know that they can be touched, success. If your goal was to hit a military or civilian target like a plane, then it's not successful. If your goal was the elimination of life, not successful. No one really knows what Ansarallah's stated goals are as far as their strategic military goals. We know what their political goals are, right? They've announced that there's a blockade on Israel by sea. They've now upgraded that to the air. I'll tell you another way where it's successful in the Osama bin Laden kind of a way, right? Osama bin Laden once stated in his manifesto that his goal was not to defeat the United States militarily through force of arms, but through a prolonged, protracted, like the Americans can't afford to wage war with us in this way, right? In that way, Osama bin Laden was successful. Again, assuming that he's the person that wrote the manifesto and, all that shit that it was translated.
The Heisenberg principle says that nothing is certain.
And there it is, right? So take that for what it is. This is what I will say. Israel is now protected by two THAADs, and I'll come back to THAAD in just a second.
Protected, you say?
There it is. You have David Sling. You have the Iron Dome. You have Arrow 3. All of this. It's a 4-layer missile defense, right? Like, it's supposed to be the most thorough missile shield in the world, right? So I want to come back to that. Why is this important? All of these just sound like military jargon. I try not to get y'all in the weeds with it, though. In the weeds we be, right? The problem with that is THAAD is the missile defense used by the United States of America, right? This is like what's happening in the Ukraine war. Unfortunately, because American military technology hasn't been really challenged, right? We talk about this all the time on Inner City Left by peer or near peer adversaries. The mythology of the American superiority as far as missiles and all military-related tech is just beyond the roof, man. I mean, just the mythology, American tech is just the best. It's the most expensive. It's the most prestigious, right? But what good is missile defense? It doesn't fucking work. Right? You can make an argument with Iran. Oh, it was a saturation attack. They sent hundreds of missiles and they just wore down the batteries. That's not what Ansarallah did. They sent one missile and that boy was coming fast. I don't know if you've seen the videos. Our dear listeners, if you have, comment about it in the comments. You know what I'm saying? I know you and I both saw that footage, and I was like, "What? Oh!" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that thing was coming in hot, bro, and it made it past 4 layers of American I'm sorry, of missile defense, some of which is American, some of which is native Israeli missile, anti-missile tech, right? The bottom line is it's not supposed to happen, right? That was the thing that the Americans sold the Israelis when they gave them two THAAD batteries. Well, your technology is limited, but our technology is going to get in. All right, and these are the kind of things that really should make you question every number you're hearing, especially when it comes out to like the missile defense, right, in Ukraine. Because every time there's this big, huge missile salvo from the Russians, you hear these ridiculous claims from the Ukrainians. We've shot down 1,000%. We knocked the zircons out the sky, and a zircon is traveling at over Mach 7, bro. Like a Patriot missile battery does not have missiles that are fast enough to even engage a product like that. This is the last thing I want to say about that before another question. We're getting close to a tragedy, right? We're getting really close, the Americans. And what I mean by that is, we talked about it a couple of episodes ago on Inner City Left, how the aircraft carrier had to make a sharp bank. And because of that, we lost an F-18, $60 million sunk in the Red Sea. The only reason why we're not hearing about aircraft carriers being sunk yet is because it's a hell of a lot easier to target an air base or an airport because the GPS there don't ever change. This is what it is. These are the coordinates. We throw the coordinates in, boom, it's going to get there. So what that tells me is it's not so much a matter of American air defense or even Israeli air defense that's keeping these aircraft carriers up. What's keeping them up is them fuckers are moving, man. They're not in the same place, right? We're going to start to have tragedies as soon as the Ansarallah movement is able to put together spotters, which is what the Americans did when they went to war with Iraq the first time. When you hear precision guided missiles, what they mean is somewhere you have a spotter somewhere tagging an object with a laser rangefinder, and that laser rangefinder will have exact coordinates. When Ansarallah gets to that level of sophistication, where they can pinpoint exactly where these American naval assets are, we're going to have a tragedy. And we're getting very, very close.
I wonder if this is all just, that Israel is just sort of waiting for another casus belli to sort of turn up as much as they can. And they're maybe waiting for one of these, missiles to hit something that's, like you said, they're looking for casualties or something like this, and there's been a lot of, first of all, there's already been a lot of conversation about Yemen. There's already been a lot of conversation about why are we bombing, constantly the poorest country in the Middle East, or at least it was a few years ago before
By
the
GDP.
siege on Gaza. Right, by GDP, but still, it was one of the largest mass starvation events, again, in the Middle East before the siege on Gaza, and it's still a huge problem in Yemen. And there's been, again, just a lot of noise, a lot of conversation, obviously with merit, and it just seems like there's two things, again, that are like sort of on the horizon at all times, and I think that is sort of either a strike from Iran, a strike on Iran by the Netanyahu regime, or Donald Trump, who's been talking about it more. And I just want to specifically ask you about this and see if there's anything behind this, because Donald Trump fired the national security advisor, is this guy, Mike Waltz. And there was some scuttlebutt that maybe Mike Waltz was this is maybe not I can't remember what it was, but he was fired. I can't remember if they were saying he
The
was
signal chat. That's the
yeah,
implication.
yeah.
But also that in the staff meetings, it kind of looked like he's going around Trump's back to further, a casus belli, as you said, with Iran. But I would hesitate to use the word fire. He was given a promotion. No other way to look at it. He was taken away from the position of national security advisor and made the ambassador to the United States to the United Nations. That's not even a lateral move. It's hard to see that as a demotion. It looks like a promotion, you know. I mean, it's not like he's going from Secretary of State to the United Nations. No, you're going from the NSA, which is an important role. But if you're looking at like where that lands in like the, I don't know, say the presidential contingency list, like
So you think they just kind of didn't want him because of his position on the war and just wanted to move him somewhere else, or do you? I mean, why make this move then?
I think Trump has an issue with people that say things opposite to what he says, right? And when Trump is putting himself out there, positing himself as a person that wants to be seen as a peacetime president, right? He's all for some limited strikes, but he is not for any type of engagement where the Americans stand to lose any type of real people, real human beings, right? Or worse, anything where the economy can get immediately, undeniably, irrevocably worse, and he can't do jack shit about it, right? Like the tariffs. Oh, I'll turn the tariffs off. You strike Iran, and you can't bottle those bees back. Those bees are out now, And I'll just go to say one more thing. Israel has already struck, Yemen back. It's been less than 24 hours. So again, this whole, Trump is the one that's holding Israel back. That's hard to believe. If Israel wanted to attack Iran, they would try, and they would fail. I think the problem is for all of the posturing, and this is the problem with politics, you say what your base needs to hear, but you can only accomplish what's accomplishable. And for all that talk, Netanyahu says, again, they've struck Yemen several times. Has it led to letting loose of the blockade? No. The blockade's actually worse now. Now they're able to intelligently attack the the airport whenever they want, or at least whenever they try. How about that? This isn't the first time they fired at the at Ben Gurion, and I don't even think this is the first time they've hit it. This is just the first time there was video, and now we've seen it. Again, they didn't hit any assets. But at the same time, you can't take that risk, right? It doesn't make me want to fly to Israel. If I lived in Israel, it would make me afraid that I couldn't necessarily fly out, And so, again, it serves as a psychological deterrent. And right now, that's really the only thing that anyone's able to do to Israel, really, is put a little psychological pressure on them. I don't think that Ansarallah has the capacity to have an ongoing assault the way that, Iran demonstrated. Like, we're just like one day, hundreds of missiles fall all over Israel, and you see sad Israelis, stomping their feet in the
which
streets.
is the escalation, though. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Like, obviously, these are small escalations. These are base, but the principle, the concept that you said, like the individual. The individuals that live in Israel, obviously, this is something that they can utilize as well in their political realm. And that's what I think Israel is doing. And that's what maybe you could also say Ansarallah is doing as well. They're trying to get Big Brother involved. This is sort of what Ukraine was trying to say. They want that full scale. They want the boots on the ground. They want that. And unfortunate for them, the United States is continuing like, nah, this is your thing. Keep doing your thing. And I guess my thought is, at the casus belli thing, what is going to make the larger scale conflict happen? Because we saw Iran hit Israel with sort of their older missiles that with not the same technology. and they were able to do some damage, and they still have been saying, there's something more, that there's a retaliation also that they want to utilize with much more sophisticated weaponry that can target and major areas, major military infrastructure, or large population zones, or whatever that may be. And you're seeing the THAAD, that I always laugh at that because it's like the most white guy name of all time. There's some dude in the in the Navy or whatever. What's up, THAAD? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but that was supposed to be the big thing.
High altitude aerial defense, something like that. The military loves some fucking acronyms.
They love their acronyms because it's a branding thing. I mean, this is just no way around it. It's a little branding thing.
That is the Chad of missile defense.
Exactly, but it's not.
Chad look a little slow.
Yeah, you're taking L's here. I mean, but look, also the Yemeni people are also taking L's. Obviously, the siege and G-side that is within Gaza, obviously people taking L's. So
nobody is suffering like the Palestinians, but everyone that is resisting is suffering, up to and including Iran. So you asked me about the casus belli, and I will say this. Ultimately, only Trump knows what excuse he's going to use. I see war is inevitable, no matter what they say. It's hard to believe the talk around Washington, our backyard. Oh, they got rid of Mike Waltz because he wanted the war with Iran. Everyone fucking wants the war with Iran. I mean, is he the sole voice? Am I supposed to believe that, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck is his name? Mike Huckabee. And I mean, look who they got to replace him. Okay, the Secretary of State right now is pulling double duty. Okay, as the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State. Only Henry Kissinger's ever had both of those jobs, by the way, and I don't think he had them at the same fucking time. So that's already something that Congress ain't gonna love. But let's also talk about who Mark Rubio is. He is an avowed Zionist. So, again, believing that, and it's not like, I mean, I'm not old enough. I don't have enough life left in me to quote all the times, Marco Rubio has talked about attacking Iran. I mean, that would be the rest of my life. If I just started naming dates, right? So, it's not like he's some kind of super fucking hawk, man. He ain't, so the rumor around town, whatever is the reason they got him gone, only him and Trump really know. But again, is he gone? No. He's sent out to the pasture. They sent him to UN, which is where political careers go to die. I feel like they owed him something since he gave up a very safe kind of congressional seat. He could have just done that forever, not had to deal with none of this, but he came on, and you've said it more than anyone else. Look at how many people got traded out in Trump's first term, man. I mean, if you leaving your job to go work for the Trump administration, you was taking chances because them cats be getting out. Remember, Rex Tillerman was his first Secretary of State, the ex-CEO of Exxon Mobil. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and he had some personality conflicts with Trump. Trump got him gone. I mean, being a cabinet member for Trump is just not a long-term viable.
It's incredibly volatile.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, Trump has been very volatile. Yeah. He's trying to do these different interviews. I don't know if you caught the one where he was like, America, the little girls the Americans need to stop buying 30 dolls. They're buying 30 dolls. We can only have 2 dolls. Like, bro, what are you talking about? The economy is collapsing. The economy is as bad as it's ever been here in the United States. And you're talking to me about, this is how billionaires view 100%. The working class. They have 30 dolls. That's why they can't pay their rent. Dude, no one's buying 30 dolls.
No one's buying dolls, bro. Just ain't the fucking 60s, man. Ain't nobody.
They're spending their money on trips, bro. They're spending no one is spending money on like
a 12-year-old
these luxurious
girl,
items. They're not expensive. They're like, look, if you want to buy a Beanie Baby
iPhone, bro, she don't want a fucking doll, bro. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not the 60s anymore. But again, right? You know what it reminds me of when they were asking like Bill Gates, what do you think these things cost? And they go to a hamburger, $100, $150. And everybody laughs, billionaires, they don't understand money. They understand hoarding. They're so far removed away from the price of actual things. Of course they don't know. Of course Trump, also a billionaire, thinks that every little girl's got 30 dolls, and he old as fucking hell. When he was relatively young, that's what you got, a little young girl. Oh, we got her a doll. You're a billionaire, so you got her 30 dolls. But, again, it just goes to show how out of touch all of these people are. Ironically, this is one of the things that people said it was why they connected with someone like George W. Bush. He felt so personable. Also a billionaire, because his family is old money and they know how to hide the money, so it doesn't look as
They're not trying to
egregiously.
make sure they like, it's like always when you say, like, if you're a poor guy and someone's like, oh, you broke, and you be like, what you mean, man? I'm out here, I'm stunned. But it's somebody who got a lot of money. I see you out here making it, bro. Hey, don't worry about what I got, bro. I'm struggling.
Yeah,
You know what I
just
mean?
trying
And
to
it's
get
always
like
like
you.
that. Did you ever see did I send you the David Beckham and his wife? I forget which Spice Girl it is.
Right,
And she's
right,
like,
right.
we're
Wasn't
both
it
very
no, it was
working
the
class.
Ginger Spice.
Ginger Spice. She's like, yes,
Yeah.
we came up in the working class. And he's like, don't lie. And she's like, I was working class. What car did your dad drive? It's not as simple as that. What car did your dad drive? In the 80s, my dad drove a Rolls Royce. So what? You know what I mean? That's an indicator of wealth. But anyway, I mean, I think in general, like, we had a long time of discussing that Biden, Joey B, they had no idea what was going on. He embarrassed himself everywhere he walked. The interviews that he has, unhinged, whether he be sleeping, closing his eyes, walking around,
Licking ice cream cones,
shaking
freaking
hands
weirdo.
with the wrong people, just walking off of. I mean, Trump's unhinged, like, aspects of himself. They're just different. He's yelling at reporters. I mean, so did Biden, but I find it interesting, again, just that we live in the United States, that we're able to see these two men who are basically the same age. They're both from the Northeast. They both they come from sort of wealthy but not old money types. They're both lifelong in the spotlight. Type of people. Their family members is like a mafia group, and they're the worst people that are in their family. They're both tons of sexual assault allegations everywhere you go. And
both sides.
On both, that's what I'm saying, both sides.
Yeah.
Let's not forget who Tara Reid is. I'm just saying the similarities between Joe Biden and Donald Trump are so closer than I think everyone wants to acknowledge. And the fact of the matter is, we could talk about Ukraine. Nothing is going on. Not much is changing. They're talking great, but not much. If I'm a soldier in Ukraine and I'm somewhere in Petrovsk or whatever, in one of these cities that's about to get done dirty, I don't care that they're talking. I want it to end.
Mm-hmm.
The siege in Gaza, not changing. The escalations in Yemen, the escalations in Africa, the escalations in South America, the escalations with China, they're still going on. Nothing changes. The presidency doesn't matter that much. And it's unfortunate that we have to go through this silly idea that Trump is supposed to be stopping these things.
And to your point, right? As Americans, we see these things, whatever cult you're in, you act like you don't see. Oh, I see that Trump is a narcissist, from the blue cult, from the red cult. Well,
MAGA.
You know what I'm saying?
Blue MAGA, red MAGA. Pick your
Joe
flavor.
Biden is a narcoleptic. Y'all both right. But while we looking at this, the rest of the world is looking at both of these dudes. I was looking, man, because again, y'all don't know how deep in the crates we be for y'all. We're doing it for y'all. And it was a speech that Putin was given, and they were asking him, "Do you ever get angry? Do you ever want to strike back?" And he's like, "I do." In that ridiculously calm timbre that Putin speaks in, right? And he's like, "But see, it goes all the way back to Ivan the Terrible." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm talking about the Crimean War, a couple episodes ago.
I know. I told you. I was like, hey, can you talk a little bit about where this started? And you were like, in 1837, you understand, young man.
Yeah, and like Putin is just like in regular conversation going back to like 1487 and shit, I mean, there was a schism between the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, and they've hated us ever since, and we're the new Rome. And I'm like, what the? I mean, this is clearly not the way Putin talks, but these are actually things that he did say.
Yes, it is. Right? Ukraine, Zelensky, which is so different than Lavrov. Lavrov has the more like traditional like
Right.
Russian accent. We look to find, but we're not. Did you hear Lavrov? I'm so sorry to cut you off. He was like, I read
Yes.
this Donald Trump book, Art of the Deal, yes, and he would suggest not to give away information for free. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
No, that ass,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
But I'm saying you compare and contrast this to American leaders, man. American leaders don't know jack shit about what was happening, probably even in Europe. I mean, I definitely know they don't know what was happening in America in 1280 because there weren't white people here that they care about, you know. But to have that kind of the depth, and you get the same thing when you're listening to Xi. You know, all of these other world leaders, love them or don't, they know their shit. When you listen to Erdogan, you may hate everything he's saying, but the boy is spitting what he sees as receipts. When you listen to Mohammed
Maduro
bin
there
Salman,
too.
Maduro,
Receipts.
you know, even Modi, man, like them or don't, they're able to give cogent defenses for what their positions are. American politicians are just incapable of stepping to the stage in this way. And this is the danger for Americans as we enter a multipolar century where American hegemony is no longer the tell-all, you know, where they can go to countries and say, don't trade with China. And everyone does it because they're way more afraid not to trade with the Americans. You know, China's like, fuck it, man. We'll take it in, you know, I guess we'll stop exporting so much and we'll create an internal, right? And it just goes back to what we talk about all the time, unintended consequences, you know, by making China less, their economy less reliant on American exports, being able to export to America. What they've done is the markets aren't going to change. They're just now going to earmark all that for internal consumption. And now Americans can't get these things done. Now you can't get your iPhone made because now those same fabs, those fabrication facilities, now they're just making Huawei. And Huawei aren't even legal in America. I mean, how about this? You buy a Huawei phone, you're not going to be able to get no damn cell coverage because it's not going to be able to tie to any of the cell batteries and cell towers in the West, you know? So like those same fabrication plants, they got to make, right? And if Americans aren't going to buy, then the Chinese will buy. And that's bad. That means there's no longer room for American products to get in because American products are in simply because of the prestige that is associated with American brands. It is not because of any type of inherent technological advantages, you know. And the more you force people to use other products, the more they're gonna find out, man, all this stuff is pretty much the same. Or, oh my God, I like this a little bit better. You know, look at how many people went to Red Note immediately when they couldn't use TikTok. They had to bring TikTok back immediately. Like, oh shit, we can't do that. We can't let them all go over there, right? Because all of the world is doing the same old stuff, and it's only American pride and, let's be honest, a little latent white supremacy that's in all of our brains that makes us think Western products are just inherently, intrinsically, exponentially better. The reality is all this stuff is pretty much the same. We're all consumers all around the world. Stuff is going to get made. Stuff is going to get bought. If you want your stuff to get bought, let your shit be better, you know? Gone are the days when you can bully them into brand recognition and, you know, I mean, yeah, when I was young, my dad was like, oh my God, you want to buy a Japanese car? And I was like, yeah, boomer, this GTR shit is popping, man. I don't know if you know, these Nismos, they ain't like when you was young. Shit is popping.
Yeah, you know, I'm not going to get too far into this, but Trump came out earlier today and he was talking about the tariffs on the movie industry and that the United States is not making enough movies. And, you know, I think he understands that sort of the propaganda war, you know, with great art. Great art is what you need for propaganda, man. They don't understand that. And
Great art's money.
What's up? I'm not going to hear you.
Great art costs money. You can't AI this shit.
I mean, it costs money, and it also just takes humans that like push back against sort of the general oppressive nature of the world. And when you like cut those movements off at the knees, people don't want to watch those things. And
I
we
want to
always
say one more thing, please.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say, when you talk about art and people being unhappy that art is not being made the way that they want, you have to remember that America hates artists. because artistry, as a rule, tends to be something that comes from an underclass. You know, you're going to see a lot of women based stories. You're going to see a lot of black and POC based stories, a lot of gay shit, right? I say that affectionately and with love, right? Like, these are not the kind of projects that straight white men want to fund. They don't want to see gay people writing or doing their art, but that's who's there. It's black people, it's gay black people, it's women, it's gay black women, it's all of those things that you don't like. These are the people that are making your art.
Yeah, and so Trump came out today. He's talked about it on multiple occasions, like already several interviews, where he's putting a tariff on every movie that's made outside of the United States. And, he's mentioned it several times. And yeah, like you said, unfortunately, India, China, Korea, Japan, and of course, Europe, obviously, they have, and all around the world, but specifically, these are the countries that are producing really good films for adults, for people who are like interested in watching good cinema. And I think, again, the United States is losing themselves socially and culturally and through art. And obviously, again, America's so many different countries. There's a, culture war here, whether it's, natural or obviously some of it's manufactured. And it's unfortunate. But, I personally do not watch a lot of American current films. I do watch a lot of films, and I've been talking about this for a long time, just kind of stepping away from Hollywood and celebrity and all those things. A lot of other countries are doing it well. I wish we did it better here, but we don't. Let me give a shout out to our podcast listeners. We're available everywhere you find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that good stuff. Make sure to like and rate us 5, right? We're 5-star. We're 5-star type people, like and subscribe, comment. We have a Patreon. Hit our Patreon up, www.patreon.com/InnerCityLeft. And music is out. Lil Tanky, everywhere you find music. I mean, CMK, everywhere you find music. Fables, Foibles, and Other American Sins. Hit us up on InnerCityLeft.com. We just updated the site. I think that's it for me. Thoughts? Anything we missed, Tanky, on today?
Go off in the comments, man. Look at this man's beard. Ain't no comments about this man's beard in the comments. What's wrong
DMs,
with y'all?
Man. It's in the DMs.
Well, thirst trapping for the revolution.
All right. Okay. Shenanigans aside, we appreciate y'all. Love and support, as Keita would say. Talk to your neighbor. I am Amin TMK. This is this is the Inner City Left. I am Amin TMK for Emoji Lil Tanky Summer. I am hi. For Emoji Lil Tanky Summer. I am Amin TMK. This is the Inner City Left broadcast. Peace.
System riding to the core. Yeah. Reppin' Inner City Left.